All right, everybody, we are live. Welcome to this week's podcast, the Odd Crew Oddities. We are covering Robert Hansen, the Baker Killer. I am Goldy.
I'm Keenan.
And I'm Nick.
And we are going to review the beginning of this man's life, and we are going to just cover on through until his death. Um, Pardon me, I'm getting things that I have to get done while I first start the stream here. Wish there's a little bit more of an efficient way. I'll figure that out. Everything will start running more and more smooth as time goes on. Let me get our notes squared away. And here we go. So, Robert Hansen was born February 15th, 1939, and he died in prison August 21st, 2014. He's known as the Butcher Baker, and he's an American serial killer that was killing people between 1971 and 1983. He abducted, raped, and murdered 17 women and claimed that he raped 30 more. He would hunt them down in Anchorage, Alaska, similar to the short story. Why can't I think of that book name now?
The Most Dangerous Game.
Bam, there you go. The Most Dangerous Game. He'd kidnap them, torture them, rape them, and then he would hunt them down in the wilderness with a Ruger Mini and a hunting knife. He was arrested in 1983 and sentenced to 461 years and life without parole.
Why would you need that much extra time?
You
Fuck
ain't
'em.
never getting
That's
out.
why. Yeah, fuck them. That's why.
Yeah, true.
Hey man, we don't want
He did
fucking.
some heinous shit.
Yeah, we don't want people fucking doing that shit anymore.
No. No, not never.
Yeah, dude, fuck that. That shit crazy. He was born in Esther, Illinois. I can't fucking read. I apologize. Iowa.
Iowa.
In 1939. He was the son of a Danish immigrant and followed his father's footsteps, becoming a baker. I lost my train of thought here.
So
In
when he
his
was a
youth,
kid,
yeah, there you go.
he was bullied a lot, like a lot. So he had a problem with a stutter, and he had severe acne at the time of being a teenager. Just didn't help it. He was
Which
Yeah,
left him scarred for life.
yeah, bad acne scars. Then he's thin as a rail and just super shy. That also makes him a real big target. It's like he was shunned by all the attractive girls at school. I mean, well, who really wasn't back in those days? And he grew up hating them. And he had very sick fantasies of cruel revenge against them.
Sweet, sweet revenge.
Sweet lemonade. He So he had a very rough childhood when it came to rejection, and he found a lot of comfort in being alone and then hunting, where he can take out those pent up frustrations of being rejected on like putting in towards stalking and hunting animals.
You were gonna say something?
Oh, he's actually a world record hunter, but his name, because of his crimes, has been stricken from the books. The records still stand, but his name is gone.
Yep.
Yeah, he held 7 of them, I believe. It says 7, I believe.
At least, yeah.
Yeah. In 1957, he joined the U.S. Army Reserves and served 1 year before being discharged. And then he began working as an assistant drill instructor at a police academy in Pocahontas, Iowa.
Of course, he was a nasty girl.
No, he wasn't even a nasty girl. He was just a reservist.
Oh, yeah. Reservist. It's even worse. It's
Difference.
lower.
Same difference. He began.
Might as well just gone to the Coast Guard.
He was in the middle of the country. He couldn't go to the Coast Guard. Was he gonna cook? Was he gonna guard the fucking fields? Gotta guard all the
Hey,
corn.
he could work in the Great Lakes.
It's true.
Yeah.
Valid
He
point.
actually began a relationship with a young woman that he ended up marrying in 1960. But on December 7th, 1960, he got arrested for arson for burning down a school bus garage, and he ended up serving 20 months of a 3-year sentence. And
Brutal.
he was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and at that time he was the manic depression side of it, with periodic schizophrenic episodes. And
Be
they
careful
noted
with
that he
each
also
other's
had an
name.
infantile personality and was obsessed with taking revenge against people that he felt wronged him. And then his wife just divorced his ass in 1962.
Yeah.
So he had a very short-term marriage. Uh, and the next year he got married again. Uh, and she actually stayed with him all the way up until his death. So yeah, kudos
It'd
to
be kind of
her.
interesting to pick her mind, or like just to get her side of the story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Because like he did some dark shit, and she still stayed with him. That's kind of fucking weird.
Well, like most serial killers that have wives and or girlfriends, they probably compartmentalize so much that to the rest of the world they appear to be just average Joe.
Oh, I mean,
That's fair.
she did go on to say that she had no idea that he was doing such horrific things to these women. In 1967, he moved to Anchorage, Alaska, with his second wife, and they had 2 kids. Um, he didn't start killing people until 71, but they lived there for a few years, had a couple kids. Uh, and that's where he set several hunting records and was well liked amongst all of his neighbors. They apparently just he was just another one of those serial killers that had that, like, I might be shy and timid, but he had the ability to turn on some charm and get people to like him.
Got that dark side.
Uh, in 72, he was convicted of assault, uh, and he was placed on a work release program after serving 6 months in prison, and then again pled guilty to larceny after he was caught stealing a chainsaw in 76. So he's already committed his first murder and a handful of murders by the time that he's been arrested up in Alaska for,
Yeah.
larceny for stealing a chainsaw. He actually got 5 years in prison and was forced to receive psychiatric treatment for bipolar disorder. But the Supreme Court reduced his sentence and was released with time served. So he spent a few years, like a total of like a year and a half, 2 years in jail in between the times that he was murdering all of these people. And
My thing is, why does this guy has a record of getting arrested and getting out early, and then repeating crimes? Like, how is that not like one of those things where like, oh hey, this person keeps getting arrested, and we keep letting him out early, and he keeps doing stupid things.
I mean, this was really the early stages of Alaska booming, and like its main growth
Yeah.
was in the
That's when
early
they started
70s.
bringing in the oil pipeline.
Yeah.
So they really needed everybody.
And that also comes to bring into the whole ordeal, like because they were bringing in these oil pipelines, that there was more exotic dancers and prostitutes coming up and drug
Drugs,
dealers and like
pimps,
all these people were actually starting to come up, and his target MO that he would go is it would be these exotic dancers and strippers, these hookers and all this. He would kill the people that if they went off the street you wouldn't really notice, and he did that for 12 years. Um, and he had 17 victims in the span of those 10 years. But like when you start to break down like how often he was really doing it. There was never really a pattern because he'd do it about once a year for the first few years, and then he started going to prison. And then he'd get out of prison, and the next thing you know, like he'd take out like 5 of them in 1 year because he spent a year in jail. So he really just kind of was all over the place uh, when it came to like consistency
Jesus.
on how he would go out and take people. Um, June 13th, 1983, a 17-year-old girl named Cindy Paulson escaped from his clutches while he was trying to load her into his plane. And she took off, and she was telling the police that he offered her $200 to perform oral sex, and when she got in the car, he held her at gunpoint and drove her to his home, and then held her captive, tortured, raped her, sexually assaulted her with a broom handle, and then
Brutal.
had her chained by the neck in his basement. And then he would just,
Man, that's
he woke up the next
dark
morning and he
fantasy.
took her to the airport and went to take her out to his cabin. So let's back up a little bit. So like he would take these people out to a cabin in Morrill Field is where he would leave out of, and he would go to Manasaki or Manasek. So I can't pronounce that word. He would take them to the valley.
Matanuska Valley,
Yeah,
something like
he would
that.
take them out there and he would take them to his cabin, and then he would strip them naked and then set them free. And then after a few minutes, a few minutes to an hour, he would kind of, just he would start tracking and hunting them, and he would shoot them, and then wherever they would die, he would mark it on a map of that valley. So he put little X's where he would kill the people, and he would bury the body right by where he shot them down. So he not only took jewelry off of his victims as trophies, but he also would keep this map as an overall arching trophy of this is where I killed the people, this is this is that. Maybe he enjoyed going on the weekends, flying up to his cabin and fucking going and reliving these hunts in his own mind.
When the cops searched his
That's
house
fucking nuts.
after Paulson told him, what happened after she escaped, they actually found the map and the jewelry in his headboard. So not only did he get to relive the crimes on the site itself, but every night that he slept, he would keep them close to him.
Yeah, yeah, he when she escaped him, she went to the cops, and when she started talking to the cops and giving the description fit him. The sketches that they made looked just like him. And she even memorized his identification number on his plane, on the tail end of the plane, and gave that to the cops. And the cops came in and he spun a story stating that he'd never seen her before and that she was probably just mad that he was, he wouldn't have sex with her for money or do anything for money, and that it was hurting her business and whatnot. And he was just saying that she was just using this as an attempt to extort money from him and all of that stuff. And he had two of his buddies actually gave false alibis to the police, clearing him of all the crimes that he did to her. And the cops just went on looking for looking for somebody else when they had him dead to rights 100%.
Well, the thing that kept him from uh, getting that like dead to rights thing was he had a very very strong alibi from his friend John Henning in that where he lived, and that's what kept him from being considered like a serious suspect in that case. He
Yeah,
stated that she's just a street whore, and I refuse to pay her extortion demand.
I mean,
So this is all the story that's being made up,
yeah,
along with his alibi, made it just the cops just like, oh well, she is just a street whore. This could just be some big ruse, and it went cold.
Yeah, well, I mean, another thing also is that he did own the bakery at this point. Like the cops used to come
Mhm.
to his bakery, and he was really good friends with the cops. So they didn't really even want to believe the story that she was telling them that it was him all along. Like they didn't want to believe it then because they're like, he's a good guy. We literally go into his bakery and get coffee and, donuts or like whatever they buy like at the bakery for the morning. Uh, so like they didn't want to believe it, so it was kind of a claim, a serious claim going on deaf ears that,
Mhm.
I mean, she was the last person that he tried to take up there and kill. So it's not like them dismissing it kind of really hindered him from doing what he did. He actually just never even went back up there and took somebody else's life, thank God. But he he somebody found a body up at the lake. So a cop did get one of the state troopers did get interested enough into going up to the valley and canvassing some areas, trying to see if what this girl was talking about, that he was taking her there to kill her, and they found bodies within a reasonable distance to one cabin, and the one cabin happened to be his cabin.
Is
Um, Now, they already cleared him at this point. So in their minds, they're like, we already kind of cleared him.
that's just a weird coincidence.
Yeah, they kind of were just like, yeah, whatever. And when they searched the place, they found, the maps, the trophies. They found a lot of stuff. And it turned into a federal investigation. Uh, Special Agent Roy Hazelwood, and he also requested the help of a profile, a psychologist to come and
FBI
profile the
profiler.
body.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this man was able to determine that uh, that the killer that they're looking for was an avid, experienced hunter with low self-esteem, a history of being rejected by women, um, and then he also,
Most likely suffered from a speech impediment.
yeah, being a stutter. And that's the stuff that always like blows my mind about like psychological profiling and analyzation, is that you're able to pick up so many clues off of some guy that murdered somebody,
That you've never seen before,
yeah,
never met before, seen
So he was
just by certain cues and how they go about doing what they do.
yeah, and when they got this new profile, and there was no denying that Robert Hansen probably he's
Did these
very
things.
he fits this to the T. He's got a cabin out here. He owns a plane. He's an avid hunter. He's got a speech impediment that he has a stutter about, you know, and that's when they really started focusing in on Hansen.
Jesus.
Um, Another thing about the Paulson, she actually withdrew her statement from the police after the alibis came out. She actually withdrew her police statement about him initially because she didn't. It was a street whore versus, you know, a
A
community.
well respected community member, yeah.
Yeah, and he had two others that were backing his story, so it's kind of like, no one's gonna believe my word on
Yeah.
this. We already talked about how they found his firearms and, the
Yeah,
little
they found
map
all
that
his
had the
guns and
X's.
everything.
Mm-hmm. Um, they
Well, I
confronted
mean, the
him.
one
What?
I said the one thing about the aviation map is that like all the little X marks and everything's like it did help them find, like, it did help them later on in their investigation find a lot more of the bodies that they didn't even know had gone missing, that they knew had
Well,
gone missing, but like had no clue what happened to them.
well, after he was arrested, he actually volunteered to show the police where 12 of the bodies were located.
Yeah.
Yeah, they only found 6 bodies um, that they exhumed and sent back to the parents for proper burial. But after he was confronted with all this evidence of his home, he denied it avidly and began to blame the women and started to justify his actions, eventually leading to a confession. And that's when he started. That's when he admitted that this started in '71, and that his demographic of women that he would target was 16 all the way up through till 41. There's a wide gap overall that he would target. There was no age specificity, I guess, that he
Yeah.
didn't care if you were a sex worker or a stripper
Yeah,
or
like
anything.
his earliest victims were like between the ages of 16 and 19, but then after he started going to like sex workers, he really didn't care about age anymore.
Yeah, I don't think it even really was meant about age in the beginning. Like 16 and 19-year-olds, I think they just happened to be that age in when he started. And he started taking them out.
Well, I mean, it might be like, so as a kid, he got fucking denied basically any advances from these pretty girls in his school. So you could think that maybe the reason he started with them being so young is like he was trying to fulfill that fantasy as a child of childhood of getting revenge on those girls, because those girls would look similar, at least somewhat similar.
At least to him.
Yeah, at least to him, they would look somewhat similar because they're that age range where he was having the most issues with women.
yeah, that is true. Like another thing is when he claimed to have, you know, raped 30 over 30 women up there as well. A thing that I
Jesus.
was reading about is that he wanted them to be completely submissive to his demands, and if they just let him do his thing, he said that he let them go. He never took them to the cabin. He never did anything. They just if they were completely submissive to his desires, like it was just a normal run of the mill. I picked up a hooker off this corner and then drop her off at another one a little time later. It wasn't unless they were combative against what he wanted to do to them, that's when he would rape or he would sexually assault them. And if they got really combative, that's when he would actually take them up to the cabin and hunt them. Is the ones that
Jesus.
would get freaked out by what he would want to do, and he would physically assault them and he would sexually assault them with broom handles, pretty much anything that he could find. Um, so he on paper, like before you really get down into the nitty gritty and the details of it, he really wasn't this prolific serial killer that was all about mutilation and doing all these crazy things. But when you uncover that top layer, just brush it away a little bit, you find that he's very sadistic and that he wanted to be in control and in power all the time. So I mean, maybe that's why his wife didn't leave him even after he went to jail. Um, she could be just that submissive of a person. I don't know. I couldn't
Yeah.
really find anything about her, but
She could have a form of Stockholm syndrome as
yeah,
well.
That's true.
she could have just been, oh, well, he never did that to me. So how do I know he's really the one that did it to them? Kind
Or
of
it could
hard
have
with
been like,
all
yeah,
this
well, he didn't
evidence.
do it to me. He must have actually loved me
That's true. Yeah,
type of thing too.
he could have just wanted them but loves me idea.
Yeah.
Uh, let's get through a quick rundown of the list of the 17 victims. Allegedly, there's 21 victims. Uh, 17 confirmed, but apparently there was 4 other victims found that he denied was not like that. This wasn't me. I didn't do these ones. Um, the bodies that he helped find were Lisa Frutrell, 41, uh, Mallory Larson, Mallory Larson, Mallory, what the fuck, churching things up, dirt. She was 28. Sue Lano was 23. Tammy Pedersen was 20. Angela Federn was 24. Teresa Watson, they didn't have an age on her. Uh, Delynn Frey, her body was found actually quite literally in the middle of his kind of kill spree here, by a pilot that was just testing out new tires on his truck, or not on his truck, but on his plane. He was just testing the new tires to make sure they're good. He ended up landing near her body and uncovering it. Paula Golding, Andrea Artillery, Sherry Monroe. Oh dear Lord, what is that name? Alcatuna,
Ecletna.
Aclutna Ann.
Annie. Yeah, Ecletna
Uh,
Annie. She was found near a road by state troopers. Like her body was found like just randomly by state troopers on the side of the road because like either a storm had washed over some dirt that was covering her, something. But she's one of the few that they still don't know who she really was. That's the reason. Oh no, sorry. I'm mixing things up. Ecletna Annie was the one found by construction workers by the side of a road that they were working on, and they still don't know who she is. Like to this day, they do not know who this woman was. That's why her name is Ecletna, because that's the road that she was found next to.
Oh.
Then we got Joanna Masana,
Messina?
Horseshoe Harriet. Um, Body was helped find by him. True identity has not been discovered. So she was probably captured. Jesus, she knows I'm recording right now. Why is she blowing my phone up? Um, so she was probably found in some place referencing, or she was found someplace, referencing Horseshoe. Um,
Or that
Probably.
was her nickname or something.
no, that's why her name's probably Harriet, because the body was discovered by him, and there was no true identity found.
Hmm.
Roxanne Eslin, bodies never found. Jesus, come on, stop blowing my phone up here. Um, then you got Cecilia Van Zerten. Um, he denied this body, but suspect because of an X on the map the body was found. So there was 4 bodies that he did. Megan Ermerick and Mary Thill. They were found because of these X's, but he denied being the one to kill them. Right? He denied it. He's like, I didn't kill these ones. Yeah, and the Akuta or whatever, he denied killing her as well. So he I was reading that like maybe he did kill them, but he's denying them because he couldn't justify killing them in the way that he did the other women, being they were prostitutes and this, that, and the other. So he didn't really know how to justify those killings. Like he might have killed them early on and just no one knew about it, and he didn't feel the same rush as he did when he killed these prostitutes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a theory that I think. I don't know if that's how it actually went down or what was going on.
Kind of like a test subject.
Yeah, who knows?
Dark way of thinking about it, but
I was about to say, this is a really dark way of thinking about test subject, but okay.
Yeah, it's I mean, you know,
That is one thing serial killers do, though, is they experiment with their. That's why they evolve.
Yeah.
they find ways to better their craft. Um, and then typically when they get caught, it's not because their craft wasn't fine-tuned, it was that they got sloppy and lazy and they didn't care to follow what they were doing in the beginning.
Everybody
Um,
falls into a rut eventually,
yeah.
no
Um,
matter what you're doing.
he was incarcerated at Spring Creek Correctional Center in the beginning of the investigation. And uh, once arrested, Hansen was charged with assault, kidnapping, multiple weapon offenses, and theft, as well as insurance fraud. Um, the last charge was a claim filed with an insurance company over the alleged theft of some trophies he used the trophies that he used to purchase the Super Club. Uh, Henson claimed he later recovered the trophies in his backyard, but forgot to inform the insurers. So apparently he would steal some trophies, try and get some insurance checks out of it, and then uh, miraculously would find it after he would get the money for it. He would find it instead of replacing it and keep the money.
Huh. Well, this is weird. It's just like out of all the fucking murders, it's like the only like even with like some of these bodies that were found, he was still only charged with only 4 of the people that he murdered.
Yeah. And the only reason why he was charged with the 4 was because ballistics matched 4 bullets to his rifle.
Jesus.
Um, and even the 4 girls that he denied killing, they they even actually had the same ballistics and trajectory from his rifle.
Jesus.
Coinky dink.
Yeah, he provided further details about the other victims in return for serving a sentence at a federal prison and not to be in the public limelight, to try and kind of keep everything out of the eyes of everybody in the rest of the world. Another
He also
condition.
he also requested.
Mm-hmm. One at a time, boys.
So
Go.
he wanted everything to stay quiet, basically.
Yeah, he didn't want to have any publicity in the press. So he wasn't
That
a
is
guy that
That is
wanted to
very
be well known.
atypical of a serial killer.
Well, yeah, it just seems to me that he just wanted to kill these people and just keep hunting and hunting and hunting, and that I mean, there's a reason why he kept going for these prostitutes and low-level workers that no one would really miss, is that I don't think he really cared about the publicity. He didn't want to be all in the limelight and do everything. He's very shy. He probably just wanted to just kill people and that's it.
Huh.
He
Yeah.
also requested to be sent to a federal prison outside of Alaska
Yeah.
for the same reason, because he didn't want to be around people that he may know or may know him.
Huh.
Another condition of the plea bargain was his participation in deciphering the X marks on his map, confirming the police theory of how he would abduct the women, adding them sometimes he let a potential victim go if she convinced him that she would not report him to the police.
Hmm.
And some of his rape victims that he would let go
Mm-hmm.
described him to the police as the perfect dork, because how just
fucking
The perfect
Just
nerd.
shorts.
bland. Just bland he was.
He's just fucking nerd. And he just wanted to live out some weird fucking sexual fantasies that were frowned upon. And if you frowned upon his sexual tendencies after he paid you money, he'd fucking hunt your ass down and kill you.
Damn. That's that's a really fucked up response to that.
Nah.
Here's a tip, ladies. Don't kink shame, I guess.
So yeah, in the 70s, if you're all about that king shame life, he'd strip you down naked, throw you out in the middle of the fucking woods, and then hunt you down like a fucking deer.
That's a fucked up consequence for kink shaming, but
Huh?
Jesus Christ.
Hey, we're not all perfect.
Or if he's normal, he could just go cry in a corner somewhere.
Yeah, dude, use those tears as lubricants. That should be your fucking new kink.
Jesus.
So so part of that parole, or part of his plea deal, he went to the United States Penitentiary in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania. He was later returned to Alaska and briefly incarcerated in Lemon Creek Correctional Center. And then he went back to Spring Creek for a little bit until May 2014, where he actually got transported to Anchorage Correctional Complex for health and medical reasoning. And that's where he actually passed away, August 21st, 2014, at the age of 75, to an undisclosed lingering illness or health condition. And they don't actually say like what it was. That he just
I wonder why they kept that undisclosed.
Yeah, that's
part of the plea deal.
Like, this doesn't seem like a.
It's got to be. It's
It
got to be
seems
part
like
of
a
that
very
plea
odd-
deal.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Because he didn't want to really be publicized, like in the public eye, about any of his detailings and his like
Well, I mean, you
shit
also
like
got to
that.
think they probably helped him out a few here and there. Like, yes, he murdered a bunch of people, but like every time he was in prison, he was a good boy in prison. So
Fuck that water.
there's no way he wasn't a good boy in prison all that time. He was stuck there. So they probably were just like, hey, if he doesn't want to disclose, let's just not disclose it.
Yeah, you know, I I try to remember that quote.
Oh,
You can't really rape a
can you really
prostitute,
rape?
can you?
Can you really rape a prostitute?
Yeah, he did
Something
give an
like that.
interview where he was quoted saying, "You can't rape a prostitute. Can you? You can't rape a prostitute, can you?" And I mean, it's a fucked up thought to have and a fucked up quote, but it,
Oh, it's so fucking dark.
it's just a very dark quote to say. To just be like, can you rape a prostitute? Like, is it really rape at that point?
I mean, I could not have been the person in that interview at all. Like, I would
I
have laughed at that. And been
I'd
like,
have just
yes, stupid.
looked at him flabbergasted and been like, yeah,
No still means no.
no still means
Just-
no. And not only are you now raping a person, but you're also committing theft. So you just got double whammied. But
No
yeah,
whammy, no whammy, stop.
they really did. They followed his wishes and agreed to their plea deal that they didn't really let this get national notoriety like the Bundys and everybody else. But most serial killers, unlike him, they want the publicity. They love it. That's what like
They crave it.
that's
They
like their
crave
fuel,
that
the
limelight.
fuel to their
yeah.
fire.
Because they
And
want
it's
to
just
make a mark on the world, and the easiest way to do so when you have no talents is to murder.
well, I mean, not even that. All of them.
Or
Some
just
of them had
do
incredible
fucked up
talents.
things.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
some of them had incredible talents. I mean,
I like how he doesn't want to be in the limelight at all. Like, this dude wanted to just stay hidden, and here us three idiots are sitting here talking about him and bringing him some limelight.
yeah, man, fuck him. He already dead.
Yeah, he's
Fuck
dead.
your R.I.P. You don't get to rest in peace.
No, fuck no. You didn't let the fucking 17 other victims rest in peace, so the fuck would I let you?
Maybe
Like,
rest
I'm
in
sorry, mate.
pieces.
Yeah, you want to be a fucking piece of shit and
God damn it, Nick.
hunt these women down, and fucking somebody just really took that book a little too fucking serious.
Yeah.
You know, he had a very bland life. That he really didn't have this extravagant lifestyle that he wanted to, like we talked about last week, where
Yeah.
all of his murders were John
Strictly for
Hegg.
profit.
Yeah, John Hegg would
And
just go and murder these people for money. Like he wanted to
yeah.
have this lash love, like this just giant over the top lifestyle, and he would get it by any means necessary, and he would murder people. This guy was just, he had a mental disorder that back in the 70s and 80s we didn't understand at all. Like, oh, you're just being a bitch. Stop, suck it up. You're a man. Like that's the era. Is literally that is the prime example era.
Yeah.
Like, why are you crying so much? Why are you so sad? You're the man of the household. Suck it the fuck up, Buttercup. Get your ass back to the bakery and make me some fucking croissants. Right?
Croissant.
My, what's wrong, Neutron? You don't like my croissants?
Croissant.
My croissant. So he had bipolar disorder, and he's on the manic side of depression towards it. So even when he was at his highs were still not great. He I fully believe that with what he has, the schizophrenic tendencies, the the bipolar that he has, and that he also was described as having infantile, like an infantile personality where he couldn't let go of things, and that he was still harboring this rage for these women that rejected him because of his physical appearance in his early childhood, his adolescent years, that I don't think he was actually capable of love. I think he got married to the first person that showed him attention that wasn't, you're fucking hideous. And then he married the second woman that ever told him that you aren't fucking hideous. And he ended up having these two children. And I believe that he loved those kids as much as he was able to. I don't think
Yeah.
he's fully capable of committing and showing love. And that he did love them, just in the capacity that he's able to.
Yeah. Which would make him a sociopath.
Well, I mean, yeah, you got to be a sociopath if you're fucking kidnapping prostitutes and hunting them in the woods like a fucking pack of dogs. So,
Yeah.
yet again,
Actually,
Kirkland Water,
that would make you a
sponsor us.
psychopath.
It's fucking crazy. Kirkland, at me, bro. I need more water. Um, I'm just gonna keep plugging Kirkland Water in every fucking video that we do until I get a fucking cease and desist letter in the mail from Kirkland.
Stop talking about our water on your murder podcast.
Listen, man, you can't talk about our water here on a murder podcast. You can't fucking do it. It's not right. It's sick. It's disgusting. Here's 50 cases of water.
You gotta be crazy if you think we're gonna sponsor you.
Wink, wink. Go check your doorstep. Alexa, pause. Shut up, Alexa. I forgot you're plugged in still. I forgot the movers didn't take her. But that really concludes, like, this guy really didn't have a lot for us to go off of, and because he had that non-disclosure about not letting
Yeah.
everything come into the limelight. Before I want to close this one out, next Sunday we'll be not streaming. Netzley will be moving to another state, so we're giving him time to adjust. We are going to be putting out on YouTube recording that we're going to do this Wednesday. That will be released that following Monday, so that way he has time to get settled in his new location to before we stream another podcast. And then that episode will be about, what did we change it to? We changed it to the St. Michael Church, a haunting in
Yeah,
Ireland.
something like that.
Yeah, the St. Michael Church in Ireland. So we'll be talking about that. We're going to try and mix in a little bit more hauntings and paranormal things here. Uh,
Here's and
we
there's.
Yeah, some here's and there's. We're going to throw in some more oddities and maybe some silly conspiracy theories for y'all. Uh, but I also want to give a shout out to Rogue Energy for being a sponsor of mine. You can go to rogueenergy.com and use the code Goldy OCG for 10% off your first purchase, and actually any purchase you make after that. Um, Robert Henson, fucked up person, um, fucking dork, apparently.
Perfect dork. Perfect dork.
Oh yeah,
Thinks you
sorry, he's a
can't rape a
fucking perfect
couldn't
dork.
rape a hooker. sorry, we got to use the appropriate term. Woman of
Prostitute. Yes. Oh, yes, yes. Call girl, if you will.
Back pages. I don't give a shit. I'm gonna
the
call
night.
a
An
spade a spade.
escort.
I'm gonna call a spade a spade. You want to be a fucking hooker, be a hooker, man. Live your life, boo boo. Live your life. Not
Yeah,
mine.
You do you.
Yeah, dude. It's not my life. It's not my place to judge that you. Hey, man, you want to have sex for money? That's cool. I don't
Yeah.
care.
That's cool.
That's cool with me. It's cool with me.
You do you, boo boo.
Right. And we're gonna end the podcast with Robert Henson, born February 15th, 1939, died August 21st, 2014, also known as the Butcher Baker. Piece of shit. Died in jail for we don't fucking know. Just died for being sick and old. Um, he hunted people down, took the Most Dangerous Game book just a little too serious, and got caught. We will talk to you next week on YouTube. You can listen to this. It'll be posted tomorrow on Monday. And then next week on Monday, you'll get one about the St. Michael Church in Ireland and how it's haunted.